Okay guys, good morning. Welcome to episode 4 of Photoshop Confidential. Today we will be focusing on the most professional and precise method of making a selection and how to manipulate the selection and how to make advanced selections. After that, we will progress to actual layer effects and hopefully we can also then move on to retouching. So to begin today, we are going to open up the same file that we have always opened up, f2.8 JPEG. There you go. And first thing I want to do is I want to tell you the objective. Okay, so here's the objective. I want to crop out the vintage black, and I want it to be a perfect crop. All right. Now to make it perfect, I would need to have access, or I would need to be able to see the edges of the entire bottle. And right away I can tell you that these edges over here on top, on the sides, are all easy. They're beautiful, they're clear, not a problem. The problem areas are the ones at the bottom over here. It's a bit hard to see, so it's a little bit hard for us to identify where the edge is. Now you need to understand something. There is nothing automatic about this entire process. In fact, professionals never use automatic features. We want control all the time. All right, so today is going to be quite a manual task. You just need to bear with me and understand what is going on, and then you will be able to make beautiful selections for all of your products and features in the future. All right, so let's begin. We're going to begin by going to the layer channel and actually make a new layer by pressing Ctrl J. Now remember, we do not want to touch the original layer. We want a copy. So the background is our insurance. We do not do anything with it. All right, we just turn it off and leave it there. Then we go to layer 1 and we zoom in to all the problem areas that we want to see. And right now I can tell you that this is the problem area here at the bottom. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to press Ctrl L and I'm going to make the image brighter, more contrasty and brighter, so that I can literally see the edge. Okay, yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's good. Now bear in mind that we are not going to be using this layer for our retouching. Okay, the function of this layer is just to show us where the edge is. In fact, if you really want to, you can actually remove the color by pressing Ctrl U and turning the saturation all the way down. Color can sometimes obscure certain things. All right, so I'm turning off the color and I am making it this bright so that I can see all the edges. Okay, now let's go to the first tool that I want to show you today, and it's over here on the left hand side. It's the pen tool. If you press P, you will select the pen tool. If you press Shift P, you will get multiple types of tools. In fact, you can just press and hold the P to see all the different forms or different types of pen tool. You've got the standard pen tool, the freeform pen, the anchor, the add anchor, the delete anchor, and the convert point tool. Today we're going to use the standard pen tool, the add anchor, delete anchor, and the convert point. All right, but for the start, we'll just work with the basic pen tool first. All right, so what we're going to do is we are actually going to select the edge. And to do that, we are going to draw points. Okay, so this is how it works. For this particular application, you want to zoom in quite close. All right, you can do it at 100% or 200%, not a problem. And you want to start by clicking just before a corner. So watch this. I'm going to click here and put my first point. Then I'm going to click here, past this curve, and put my second point. Then I'm going to find another curve. And as you can see, there's a big, nice, long curve over here. I'm going to put one here. There's another curve over here, so I'm going to put one here. And if you look down this side, it's one straight line, so I'm going to put one here. Not at the corner. Notice I'm not going to the corner. I'm actually going before the corner. And the reason for that is because this here is an inverted curve. All right, so I'm going to put 1 point over there. Then I'm going to go, there's another nice curve here. I'm going to go one here, and then I'm going to go one here. All right, this method I like to call divide and conquer, and I will show you how it works. Keep going, keep finding that curve. This is there's a slight curve here actually, if you look at it. All right, so I'm going to go to the edge here like that. Zoom in. There's a curve over here, see this? So I'm going to go over here like that. And there's another nice long curve over here. So I'm going to go to this end. Another curve here, go there. Don't worry if it's too, if you're not precise enough, all right? We are going to refine this selection. And this is why professionals love this, because we have the option of refining. All the other methods use the computer to refine your selection. And it is, to be honest, not accurate enough for our needs. So, let's make a selection again. Follow another curve. Go to this edge here. Go to that there. And then always end up at the first node. Okay? Very important. You need to close the selection off. And congratulations, you have just made your very first path. That's right, folks, a brand new word, a path. Now, if you look on the right-hand side over here, you will see that there are multiple tabs. You've got the layer tab, you've got the channel tab, you have the path tab. And if you click on this work path here, all right, you can actually rename it. And I'm going to call this Vintage Black Bottle Path. Try to be as descriptive as possible, because you do not know when you are going to come back and access this file. All right. Right now, if I look at this, I can see that it tells me exactly what I want to use. Okay. Now, if you look at the bottom here, I'm going to click on this one here. If I select Vintage Path and I drag it to this round dotted line icon at the bottom, it makes a selection for me. All right, can you see the touching, all the ends? That's right. I don't want this. I still want to work on the path because the path is not perfect. So to do that, all you need to do is click on the Vintage Path, Vintage Black Path, select your pen tool. All right, this time select the Convert Point tool, and then just click on the path. Okay, and what's going to happen is we are now going to bend the lines. By the way, these lines are called Bezier lines, and they bend in accordance to a Bezier algorithm or a mathematical formula. If I'm not mistaken, it was a French mathematician, all right, who found out that a lot of human forms or organic forms in nature bend according to a specific formula. All right, I'm not going to get into the history of Bezier. You can go and Google that and find out. Today we're going to use, now we're going to use the plus anchor point, which is over here. And as you can see, the moment I move over the line, it turns into a plus. Now, if I click it, it adds another point over there. All right, let me demonstrate again. I'm moving the mouse, nothing is happening. But when I hit the line, it becomes a plus. And now what I want to do is add another point in the center portion of each of these things. So let me show you. There's one center point here. Beautiful. Over here, there's a center. I'm going to click it there. This one here, there's one. Click it there. Click it there. Click it there. All right. And just go right round and put one central point on the line. It doesn't have to be accurate. It can be an estimate, not a problem. Okay. This is the divide part. Okay. We're going to be conquering it in a while. Okay. No, sorry. One here. Okay. Now we're going to bend these lines. We're going to conquer it. And to do that, you need to press the Control key and move the node. Notice what's happening. The node is bending. That is your Bezier. These lines coming out at the side here are your Bezier handles. See how it's curving the line beautifully for you, mathematically? All right. Do not touch those Bezier handles for now. Just pull the lines to the edge. Okay, I'm going to go in quite close so you can see. All right. Press Control, pull. Don't worry if it's not perfect. Press Control, pull, move down, press Control, pull. Again, like I said, you can move any node you want, just align it. All right, this is a particular interesting scenario. You've got the edge isn't very clearly defined. So where do I put this node? In situations like these, I go to the central point. I know that this is the outer edge. I know this is the inner edge. I'm not too confident. I'm just going to go slightly below, slightly inside the bottle. Same thing for this one. I'll just move it over there. This one I'll pull out like that. This one I'll pull out like that. Let's go to the center one. Where is the center one? Okay, you can zoom out, you can zoom in. There's one there. Beautiful. Let's pull this out like that. Okay, and then let's pull this one down like that. Now, this one is important. The reason why I brightened the image is because I wanted to see the clear edge of the bottle. And I now know that that's the clear edge over there. I'm happy. Same thing for this one. Where's the clear edge? Clear edge would be about there. I'm going to leave it there. All right, this one is there. I want to pull this guy out. By the way, guys, my finger is permanently pressing the control button, yeah? If you don't press the control, your pen becomes a plus point and you add a node. I don't want that. I want to push and pull. So I press control and I hold it. Okay. This one, same thing. I'll do that. Pressing control. Pressing control. Pressing control. I think you're beginning to realize that, yeah, it's a lot of work. But the end results are worth it and very, very professional. The quality is perfect. Okay. All right. Now, I've added central nodes to all the things. So this is the first few. I've added one here. I've added one here. Then I've added one in the center. But if you look at the curve, it's still not enough. It's still not curved enough. So now I'm going to add more. I'm going to halve it again. So this time I'm going to release my control button and I'm going to press a node here. And this time I'm going to move it. I'm going to press control and move it. Move it, move it. Yeah. Press control and move. See that? Now I have a pretty nice curve. All right, let's do it again. This one is not so good. I'm going to pull this in a bit like that. Okay. Notice what's happening over here. It's not perfect. See this curve over here? Go ahead, add another node. All right. Now, I am going to actually spend some time and work on all of these edges here. I will not torture you by forcing you to watch everything. So I will probably speed up this segment. But before I speed things up, I want to show you how the Bezier curves work. Bezier handles, sorry. When I pull, it exaggerates the curve in that direction or in this direction. See that? Now, I can pull and push to get the curve that I want. And in this case, this side of the line, I want it to be straight, so I go all the way in. But this curve, I want it to be quite complex, like that. See that? All right. So I highly recommend that you take a photograph of an object, follow the steps as closely as you can, and start playing with all of these nodes. Okay, if you cannot remember what the nodes are doing, just play this video again until this point and then follow step by step. Now, you can also, if you were to go to the node here, and you will see, if I press the Alt key, I can convert a node into a minus. This is control. Control allows me to move it. If I let go, it becomes a plus. If I press Alt, it becomes a minus. and you know what a minus does? It deletes a node. Boop. There you go. Your job is to determine whether I need that node or I don't. As a general rule, we don't want too many nodes. We can actually make beautiful curves, complex curves, with just 2 or 3 nodes. Okay. Now, as you begin, if you begin, you will add too many. I guarantee that. You will be a bit scared and you will start clicking all over the place and making too many nodes. But as you become more experienced, you can make very nice, beautiful cuts and crops with just a few nodes. Okay. All right. So as you can see, I am starting on the bottom curve, and it's going to be very, very sublime, very, very nice. Okay. It's there. It's there. And yeah, I'm pretty happy for this demonstration. Of course, if I were doing this for an actual paid project, I would be literally spending hours just getting this right. All right. So now here's the question, and this is a common question that I've always had over the years. Why do we need so much detail? Okay. The answer is actually very straightforward. If you're producing for the internet, the screen resolution that you need is 72 dpi. That's it. Not very refined, not very detailed. But if you're producing for print and you're producing for a really high quality print, then your DPI can go up to 300, 400, depending on the printing process. If you don't crop it properly, every single curve, every single mistake can be seen. Okay? So, as a general rule, I always work to the highest degree. I do not take shortcuts. I work at the best resolution that I can all the time. And the reason for that is actually very simple. If I need something of a lower resolution, I won't be worried that my crop is bad. I know that my crops are of a certain standard. This is what I'm known for. This is what I'm famous for. I am going to stay at this particular standard. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I see a lot of YouTubers out there who proclaim that they are experts, who talk about this technique and that technique. None of them actually talk about the repercussions of bad technique. So I'm here to tell you that right now, you are going to be judged by your work. No one's going to judge you based on your looks, on your talent, on your speech. They're going to look at your photograph. And if your photograph has your name on it, everything that's good, you will benefit. So will the bad. Whatever inside there that is bad, your name is going to be tagged to that bad. So my recommendation is always work to the highest degree, into the highest level, and enjoy it. It's not that hard. All right, I've already done the first one, and now I have the path here in the vintage black. So what's happening to the size of the file? Well, to be honest with you, if you look at the size of the file, it's now 101 megabytes. Okay, and that has got to do with mostly this layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this layer, which is the black and white layer. Okay, oh sorry, Control Z. Make sure you're in the right tool. This top tool on the left hand side is your layer move tool. That's the one that you want to be in all the time. And then delete the layer. Boom. Okay, oh shit, I've accidentally deleted the path, sorry. Let's go back. All right, see that path here? Okay, so this is your vintage black bottle path, and this is your layer. All right. Now, you notice that it does allow you to delete the layer. And if you look at the path is still there. If I save the file right now, in fact, I'm going to save it. File, save as, and I'm going to call this vintage black path, and I'm going to use PSD. Remember I told you to use the PSD all the time? Well, this is one of the reasons why. PSD and TIFF are the only two formats that will allow you to save paths, channels, layers in one file. I can close this file, come back in 20 years, and I'll still be able to start work where I left off. All right. So remember to stay in the PSD path. All right. So that's your path. That's your layer. Now I want to crop and chop the layer out. So you go to path. You can right click on the path and say make selection. All right. Let me demonstrate that again. This is the layer tab. Go to the path tab, right click and make selection. And what's going to happen here is it is now going to ask you whether you want to do a few things. And the first thing that you want to do is feathering. Feathering is the softening of the line. Now you can leave it as, I'm going to leave it as 0 pixels so that I can show you just what a sharp line is. And then I'll do it again at 10 pixels to show you what a soft line is. Anti-alias means to blur that line using an optical flow. Don't worry too much about it. Always leave it selected. Operation, new selection. All right. Now, the reason why it's called a new selection is because I've not made any other selections before. So obviously, that's what we want. All right. Ta-da! Look at the ants. Look at the ants right round. Nice and clean, smooth lines, smooth straight lines. Beautiful. I am happy. Now I press Ctrl J and I now have a beautiful, beautiful bottle. Look at all the edges. See how smooth, naturally occurring curves. All right. Now, if you look at the edge, you will be able to see the pixels. Can you see the pixels over here? Right. Look at how jagged they are. That is if we don't apply a feather. All right. I'm now going to do a little feather. Okay. I'm going to go back out. I'm going to apply the path again. And this time I'm going to make selection. And I'm okay. Let's choose 10. Personally, 10 is a bit much, but I think it'll be a good demonstration. Ctrl J. Look at the edge. See how soft that is. All right. Now, if I'm doing a color grade and I just want to adjust the color, soft works for me. See that? You literally cannot tell that there is an edge there. Okay, so 10 works if you are doing a basic color grade. I, on the other hand, want to do a manipulation. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make selection again. And I'm just going to specify maybe 3 pixels. All right. Go to the background, Ctrl J. And I now have a pretty soft edge. It's not too sharp, not too blur, pretty soft. Now, there's no fixed rule to this. You can actually specify 1 pixel, 2 pixels, 3 pixels. It all depends on the resolution of your photograph, and it all depends on the depth of field of your photograph. All right. If your object is blurry, you're going to need to have more pixels. If your object is picture sharp from edge to edge, then you can specify just 1 or 2 pixels. Okay. All right. So we now have a very clear outline. We now have a layer. Okay, we now have a path. All right. Now there's another way of doing this. If you don't want to save a path, you can actually make a selection here like that. All right. Can you see the ants running here? Right. Now I can also go up here and I can actually, this one, see the bottom here, save selection. Right. And now I'm going to select save selection. And I'm going to call it Vintage Black Selection. Right. So what did I just do? Okay, let me explain. Layer gives you individual layers of individual objects. Path will give you the outline of the object. All right. If you can see, there's a line. See this line here? I'm going to click the pen tool just to show you the line. See that? This is the path. Paths are editable. I can manipulate, I can still play with it. Fantastic, very, very workable. But the selection is this one. This is a mask, okay? And the reason why it is here is because when Photoshop was first invented, it did not have layers, all right? The only thing it had was paths and selections. I could only save path and selections. So if I wanted to come back 10 years from now and select the bottle, I would literally drag the selection here, right click, all right, or drag it down into the bottom right hand corner, the semut. And if you look carefully, the selection is made. Can you see the ants? Let me go back to this layer here. All right, you can see that it has made a selection for me. Okay, if you click on the layer, it will increase your file size. I'm going to delete the layer now. And if you look at the file size at the bottom left hand side, it says 53.3 megabytes. It's only an increase of 2 megabytes. But I now have the power and the function to make a selection if I want, or to work on the path if I want. Now this feature is particularly interesting to all of you guys who do not have powerful computers. If you remember correctly, every time I meet you for the first time, I'll ask you whether you have a computer, what is your computer specifications, how much RAM you have, etc., etc. And the reason I ask you that is because Photoshop and Adobe products in general are the biggest memory hoggers on the planet. Okay, if you do not have a powerful computer, working on Photoshop and Adobe software is literally going to create mental illness. It is just such a daunting task. In fact, the Adobe suite of programs are one of the most taxing programs you can use on any computer on the planet. Okay, video production, photo editing, even sound production requires the movement of massive, massive files, and it also requires the computational power to handle all of these processes. All right, so if you don't have enough processing power, if you don't have enough RAM, but you want multiple selections, if you want to save multiple selections, you can keep the background layer alone, and you can just save individual channels. These are called channels. By the way, if you turn on the channel layer, it will actually give you a nice little outline right there. Okay, see that? This is the photo, this is the background. All right, if I click on the channel, I can actually double check to see if my edges are good. All right, now I can tell right now that this edge over here is not very good. I didn't do a good job. I may need to go in and do that again. This part here is fine. This part here is beautiful, beautiful. This part here, I may have cropped in a bit. Anywhere else, this all looks pretty good. This one looks pretty good. Yeah, for 20 minutes work, I'm pretty happy. Okay, if this were a really high-end project with high resolutions, yeah, I'd still be doing the path, to be honest. By the way, this is a very clear-cut object. It's a clear and clean outline. Okay, slightly later on, I would try to show you how to do different kinds of path selections on different kinds of objects in different focal distances. That is a very complex lesson. That is something that you do not want to attempt until you have mastered the 3 basic selection tools. Okay, all right, so before I end this, I would like to recap on all the selection tools that we did, because this is it. This is the final episode on selecting objects. You have to be masters of this if you want to excel in Photoshop and After Effects and basically any other image compositing program on the planet. This technique, the techniques that I'm teaching you today, are not peculiar to just Photoshop, okay? You are going to use them in After Effects. You are going to use them for rotoscoping, for Nuke, for Fusion, for a lot of other programs. The concepts are the same. Okay, so don't panic. We start with small steps and eventually you will all start to run. Okay, so before we end, let's go to the first selection tool. We've got the lasso tools. Lasso tool, polygonal lasso, magnetic lasso. If you are joining us at this moment in time at this episode and you have no idea what this is, please go to the episode 2 where you can see how this works. We also have the quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. Notice I did not teach you about the magic wand tool. Why? Because the magic wand tool is outdated and it was designed for children. Use the quick selection tool. Keep using this quick selection tool. Do not play with the magic wand. I don't even know why it's still there. Okay, it's just an utter waste of time. All right, then we have the path tool or the pen tools, which is over here. Press P. You've got the pen tool, freeform tool, add anchor, delete anchor, convert point tool. Notice I didn't teach you the freeform pen tool. The reason I didn't teach you the freeform pen tool because it is so similar to the magnetic lasso. Again, I do not know why Photoshop or people at Adobe are doing this. Maybe they want to cater to the backward compatible. So that's wrong. Maybe they want the software to be backward compatible. They want people who learned Photoshop in the 70s to feel comfortable. They do not want to alienate the old farts. That's the best explanation I can think of. Unfortunately, I am also an old fart. In fact, I'm probably the oldest fart here using Photoshop because I started using Photoshop when it was version 1 and it came on floppy drives, floppy disks. And I'm still fine. I'm still coping. I'm still learning all these new things every day. So yeah, like I said, do not panic. You do not need to master every single tool in the shed. All right, just follow, learn what you need to learn, but master its application. Okay. All right, so now we have your PSD file saved. We have the channels. I can unhide the channel. I'm going to make a layer now. So I'll go to path, right click, make selection. I'll feather it 1 just to make it a little bit softer. I'm going to press Ctrl J. I now have a beautiful bottle and I am going to move it and make a slightly smaller bottle that I want to put it in front like that. Okay, I could press the Alt button. By the way, guys, when you do layer manipulation, you want to be in the layer move tool on top, which is a V. All right, I can press the Alt button, Alt key, and then drag, 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 drag. Okay, you saw how easy that was. Do not be impressed by a photograph that looks like this. This is basically child's play. Okay, instead, be impressed by that very first crop that you saw. Okay, be impressed by how clean the object is. Look at the edges. Look at how smooth they are. Look at the curve of the line. That will tell you that this was cropped by a professional. It was cropped by someone who took time and care to crop it nicely. All right. Thank you very much for joining us for episode 3. When we resume next, we will be heading into slightly deeper waters. But for now, I am now going to branch out into Premiere Pro, some Premiere Pro tutorials and more phone tutorials. Sorry, not phone, Audition tutorials, audio. If you want to hear or see something slightly different, shoot me a WhatsApp message and I will try to answer the question using video as well. Thank you very much, guys, and hope to see you soon.